All right, what's up, everybody? So, like I said, we're gonna do a grocery shopping, kind of walk you guys through my diet, and kind of talk about different things and why I'm grabbing them. But we just got off the plane, so it wasn't a fun trip. I had a crying baby the entire time. A little hour flight, not too bad. But we're going to grocery shop. We're gonna grab our essentials for a week and a few days. So, put the mic right here. So when grocery shopping, I choose specific stores when I'm buying my meats because I think of quality, right? Like you're not going to get the same quality meat from like a Publix or Heinen's or Wegmans like you would at Walmart. Walmart's going to be a lower quality meat just because of the volume that's there. So I'm very specific. I like to get more organic and kind of grass-fed beefs specifically, which is a little bit more expensive, but that's what I choose. So when I'm in a grocery store, I usually like to ask like the butcher area because I do buy so much ground beef. If I can get a bigger volume from them, because it's kind of normally at a cheaper price, but at this store specifically, the high or leanest they carry up to is 90/10. So we're gonna have to find a different option and see what we have because I want to be 93 to 96% lean specifically. That's what I like. That kind of keeps me in a good fat range, so that way I don't go over, and I can use fats in a different area or different types of fats. What we have here is 92.8. I think we're gonna have to go with that. Get away with that. We'll get 2 of these. Also want to get some steak. So when choosing steaks specifically, because I do have a little bit more red meat in my diet right now, I like to choose a top sirloin or a filet just based on the amount of fat that's actually in it. It's leaner meat. It's easy to cook. Throw it on, throw it off, be done with it. But I can also cut it up too and kind of like do like a stir fry ordeal with it, or I can cook it in whole. Got a lovely top sirloin filet. I think there's 2 in here, which is gonna be good. One of the chicken products that we choose this is something very specific, and like I said, is this is not like one size fits all, right? These are very specific things that I eat. They fit into my diet. This is what I've been eating for a few years. So there's these chicken tenders, right? These ones specifically. So it's chicken breast tenders. It doesn't have rib meat in it. It's super, super clean. So if the macros on it are, per 4 ounces, right? Which on average that could be between, 2 tenders or 3 tenders, right? It's 9 grams of fat, 12 grams of carbs, and 20 grams of protein per 4 ounces. So I usually fit these in pretty well with my diet. It's a really good alternative in terms of like meat sources. So that way I'm not just overdoing one type, right? Like we can have some variety without overcomplicating it or oversimplifying it. So kind of a quick tip for new gym goers when grocery shopping, right? Keep it simple, right? Have your carb sources, have your fat sources, and have your lean meat sources, right? Keep it in a range, keep it structured, right? On average, from a bodybuilding standpoint, a good rule of thumb, 50 to 40 grams of protein per meal and between 40 and 50 grams of carbs per meal, obviously depending on, where you're at and what is your goal, right? Like it could be a lot lower, especially if you're cutting, or it could be a lot higher if you're bulking, or even just maintaining too. Like, all right, we're going to grab one of our other kind of like protein sources. One of our other protein sources that we normally choose is a non-fat Greek yogurt. So we do our Greek yogurt bowls, and we take 1 scoop of protein powder and 245 grams of a non-fat Greek yogurt, and kind of mix it together with some zero sugar chocolate chips towards the end of the night for like a nightcap. Kind of curbs my sweet tooth pretty well. All right, so our protein sources are complete. We have our lean ground beef, we have our lean steaks, we have our lean chicken tenders, and we have our our yogurt, our non-fat Greek yogurt. Next, we're going to do our carb sources. Okie dokie, carb sources. Let's do pre-workout carb source first. As you guys know, we do our rice checks. So we got a few different flavors here. We got peanut butter, chocolate, blueberry, cinnamon, and honey nuts, and plain. I think we're gonna do chocolate. The chocolate one was pretty good. So I do these specifically, these rice checks, because it has some good quick sugars in it for pre-workout wise. But it's simple. It's easy. I'm eating it dry. I mean, you could also take a protein shake, shake it up, and use it as your milk for it. But the volume of what it is to get to 50 grams of carbs or 60 grams of carbs pre-workout is fairly easy with this. Like cream of rice is a very large volume. I like cream of rice. Don't get me wrong. But usually I'm trying to get it in quick and get out, where cream of rice can take me a little bit of time to eat. So this is kind of our go-to pre-workout carb source. So we have a few remaining things we need, but we're going to go for our primary carb sources, okay? Our primary carb sources for our beef bowls that we do, which is a primary meal, so we have 5 meals specifically. And so for my primary carb sources for my beef bowls, because my structure right now is I have 5 meals, okay? 2 of those meals are shake meals. 1 is my yogurt bowl, and the other 2 are beef bowls. And in those beef bowls, I get between 45 to 50 grams of carbs. And from a satiating standpoint, I like to switch it between a rice product and a potato. And my choice of potatoes is frozen hash browns. I think they're simple. I think it's easy. It's very quick and easy. You throw it in the air fryer, you throw it in the oven and cook it up, and you're done. Throw it in a bowl. 300 grams of frozen hash browns is right around 44 to 50 grams of carbs, which I believe in jasmine rice, it's about 150 to 160 grams of jasmine rice that you would have to equivalent to that, which is a very small amount, where the potatoes is a very vast amount. So let's see what flavors and what types they got, and we'll choose one. I like to get these ones. These are the Alexa's ones. If you know about these are super clean, but they also already season them a little bit, so it saves me some time not have to season them and worry about it. So we are in the rice aisle. So I feel like there's a constant debate online about which type of rice, what type of rice, why this rice, why that rice. Listen, if the rice itself has 0 fat, has a little bit of protein in it, which your protein source is not going to be the rice product, right? You don't need to worry about the amount of protein in the rice. What you need to worry about is the volume of serving and how much is in it, right? So this is the yellow rice that I've been doing recently. So it's already seasoned, it's easy, same exact macros as if I were to do jasmine rice. Listen, it makes it life easier, right? You can just cook it up on the stove. You don't need any oils or anything like that. Just with some water, get it ready to go. I believe 1 cup of this is about 44 grams of carbs. I can't cook this rice for absolute shit, so Alicia cooks it for me, and then we break it down and divide it into our bowls. One thing with traveling specifically, if I have access to a kitchen, I will buy my rice dry, but if not, then you can get away with the microwavable rice specifically. I just like to avoid this because there is a lot of other ingredients. You can see that ingredients list is pretty long there, which they add a lot of preservatives in there so that they can stay longer on the shelf and heat up well. So I try to avoid that at all costs, but when I'm traveling and I don't have access to a kitchen, that is something that, I will purchase. So with our beef bowls specifically, we have some type of, I usually like to do the fiber tortillas to get a little bit more fiber in for the day. Or they also do like the taco shells that are fiber oriented, but I don't see that they have them. A lot of them, they're labeled as like carb advantage or like 0 net carbs specifically. There's still calories in them, but it helps you get to your fiber intake for the day within reason, right? Don't sit there and slam 7 or 8 tortillas that are fiber oriented because you're going to be pooping yourself all the time. So within reason, right? Like I usually choose one of my beef bowls to have it with, not both of them. It's either one or none. So I think we're gonna go with these mini ones. So these Mission. Ooh, wait, no, these aren't the ones we buy. We usually buy the carb balance ones, but I think this is what we're gonna have to do because I don't like that brand. So we're gonna do the Mission ones. So 3 tortillas, 19 grams with 19 grams of fiber, 110 calories specifically. So one thing I do when I'm writing out my macros is I count the fiber as a separate column. I don't keep it in the same column as my carbs. Also got to grab our taco seasoning for our ground beef. Something super lightweight, something not heavy filled with a bunch of different things, just some flavor for it. We cannot forget the main staple of my beef bowls, which is a good pineapple salsa, which Alicia, I had her pick up Newman's Own the other day. It was my first time trying it. Really, really, really good. Um, I really liked the one that they had from Wegmans. That one was really tasty, kind of a little sweeter. But the Newman's one is really solid, right? I just do, a little bit of this where it's not going to affect my calories or my carb intake for the day. A little bit on top, just give it some more flavor, right? We can have fun with these things. We don't need to be so dry with it, right? I like to add flavor to my stuff. If it keeps me consistent, I'm gonna add flavor. Ooh, I forgot. We have to grab one thing I do to add that flavor, like we were talking about, is a cheese sauce or like a queso sauce that's super low calorie, low fat. Because right now I've been having a struggle bus of actually hitting my fat goals. So our normal fat goals is around 70-ish grams of fat per day. Right now, I've been between 40 and 50. And listen, hey, I'm not complaining. That's a good problem to have. But it allows me to squeeze in a little bit of extra fats from different sources and make my food a little tastier. So we're going to go find a queso sauce. Like I said, we had to get our some type of cheese sauce. So right here we have our queso blanco dip. I choose the cheese dip specifically because they are lower calories and they're a little bit more liquidy. So it adds a nice texture to the bowls. So for 32 grams of that liquid weight, it's 45 calories, 3 grams of fat, and 3 grams of carbs. Literally just 1 to 2 servings on it, adds a little bit of flavor and it doesn't hinder it because, like I said, I choose a leaner meat specifically so I can add some flavor to my bowls. Ooh, one thing we have to get, and this is a absolute must, pickles. We need pickles. I like to get like the bougie cold section pickles. I like a good garlic pickle, but I think pickles specifically help with satiation, especially if you have, a low amount of food in your diet right now. So because we have access to a kitchen, means we can actually cook. We don't have to buy a bunch of stuff, but we need to make sure we get cooking spray. So I don't do any olive oils or anything like that. I do avocado oil spray specifically. Olive oil is a inflammatory. Avocado oil is an anti-inflammatory. Genuinely, I've seen a huge difference in my physique and just digestive just by switching to avocado oil. For the longest time, I did use olive oil, and I believe I read a few different studies on it, and then we made that switch over. Because I'm an absolute fiend for zero sugar drinks, I got to make sure I have a few things, but specifically as of recent, one thing that's important because I like to have the drinks at all different times of the day is that I'm trying to make sure that I get caffeine free specifically because my caffeine intake has always been pretty high in general. So I'm trying to reduce it back in areas that aren't pre-workout wise. So zero sugar lemonades, Fresca, caffeine free Cokes, Sprites and things like that are kind of what I've been choosing. So I know this has been a chaotic grocery haul. I've been ping ponging everywhere, but we're gonna finish it up. I got everything I need. I think we'll have to grab a little bit more here and there at a different location or a different store in the next few days. Especially from a meat standpoint, I'm gonna be out, and there's some other things that we might need. Uh, but I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you for enjoying our chaotic grocery haul. Tomorrow, which will be the next day after, is I'll take you guys with us for our wedding cake tastings. So I get to have that tomorrow, And then we also hit quads tomorrow. So I'll do a double segment of the cake tastings beforehand. And then Alicia's going to hit quads with us. And then on Sunday, we have our food tasting for the wedding. So the wedding food, like, the main entrees and stuff like that. But again, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.